where they will be running Widowmaker. Nope, they're not. Lynx are going to swap off, go to Genji at the last moment here. But defense has been troublesome for NIP so far here today, especially on Route 66, where, Jamerson, we were watching in the back room where NIP let a crazy overtime push go through on them, all the way through second, through most of third. So hopefully they've learned some lessons in keeping things a little bit more solid as the GamersOrigin offense rolls out.
Yep, GamersOrigin out the gates. We did have a Hanzo just for a moment, but Dixie Dix will swap off onto that Genji, so just going with that 3-2-1. Well, they are being contested at the payload so far, but Zappis caught out of position. He was on top of that train. It's going to be Poco that takes him down.
And that's a quick pick here from GamersOrigin. NIP getting really aggressive even by Route 66 standards, but it is not working out. GamersOrigin punishing with authority. Every kill going their way after that early pickoff of Zappis, and that's brutal. That also isn't usually where you would gauge for early aggression here on Route 66. You kind of want to wait till people round the bend.
At least that, or try to trade for kills, but that didn't even happen for NIP there. They just kind of funneled in one by one. They didn't buy that much time. There's still 3 minutes left for them to get to point 1 here as the defenders are coming back in.
Well, the defense of NIP is coming back in, and they do not want to get snowballed as they did before. They're just rushing right out. You see Zik here in the back looking for perhaps a support, not able to find it here early on. But now it's Dixie Dix into Fraggy. Early on, Fraggy gets punished for diving in really heavily, and now GamersOrigin is going to be coming out with another 6 versus 5 opportunity, and really not much in the way of pressure on Dixie Dix here at the top, getting exactly what he needs here on Genji, as the rest of GamersOrigin just rolls right into NIP. This defense so far, not really working out for them, despite Zappis' best efforts with that last pulse bomb.
Oh, nice pulse bomb, connected by Zik there, and really that initial, or that secondary engagement started off with Zik just pulling so much attention in the back line that once Fraggy jumped in with that Winston, he didn't have the supports of his DPS to like help him mitigate some of the damage and mitigate some of the attention, and then from there he got focused on down, and GamersOrigin were just able to go through the rest of the NIP lineup.
All right, well, GamersOrigin, we'll see if they can keep that momentum going forward. They do have Dragon Blade Transcendence combo on deck. NIP, they can counter with a Nano Blade of their own here. So this is going to be key in terms of deciding time on the map here for NIP. They do need to hold this, but both Genjis now starting off. It's the early Dragon Blade here from Dixie Dix. He's to the back line, grabs 2 early on here, but NIP, they just counter dive and they've evened this up somewhat. It's a 3 versus 3 here on the payload.
Yep, they do have the respawn advantage. They should just back off right now as Himsy had a great angle over there by the stairs, dropped a little low, will have to back off for now. But GamersOrigin, they've got the tactical visor, they got the defensive sound barrier at the ready here. There's no defensive ultimates quite yet for NIP. They need to buy a little bit more time for Kindle to get his sound barrier.
We'll see if Kindle can get that sound barrier up. It should be up here in just a moment. Zappis opening up the pulse bomb, does not connect. GamersOrigin respawns coming in here quickly, and they're counter diving on the NIP dive. They catch Linkser out here, force him out. He's just barely healed up in time, but Zappis has already died in this fight. So 5 versus 5 here, but GamersOrigin in a much healthier position. NIP had to back up and give up some ground, and now you see GamersOrigin diving right back in, and reinforcements are coming in. The tag visor from Boko very well could seal this fight.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Himsy wasn't able to do much with his own there. Now they're pushing forward with the man advantage, and they've got positioning over that spawn, the cave area there. Now, we do have Zappis caught out. He will go down, and this is the Nano Blade coming out from Linkser earlier on.
And the Nano Blade goes off. It does get a little bit, but not as much as it would have had if not for the Transcendence. Still, though, the next fight is underway. NIP looking to hold. They drop the sound barrier and move right in. And the sound barrier trying to deal with Dixie Dix as he picks up another 2. So GamersOrigin able to deal with that sound barrier, clean things up, and this payload will cruise to the second point. And I gotta say here, for NIP, Jamerson, they've really struggled to get any form of stability here.
Yeah, the way they've been rotating their ultimates, Himsy just not able to find a good angle. Zappis has landed some pulse bombs, but they weren't able to convert off those fights either. You just need to be able to close out these fights, but they're really struggling so far against GamersOrigin. No swap offs coming out. They're just going to continue with this triple DPS dive.
Well, the key with their GamersOrigin as well is that they will have Transcendence up in a moment. They can punch this one in even heavier. NIP, they have a small window to engage, but they're not really in the position to do so. You know Fraggy is looking at this. He gets poked out. He can't go in. So by the time he's able to go in, Transcendence is going to be up for GamersOrigin. This is a great moment for them to just pile on. And here it comes. The tag visor was in from Poco early on. They haven't even had to use the Transcendence just because of Poco's early initiation. NIP, they back out. They give him room. but this is, oh, Poco goes a little bit too deep there.
Yeah, he ran all the way towards their spawn there, getting a little bit over-aggressive, and they might get punished here, but it's a 2-for-1 exchange as Dixie Dix, along with Zik, were able to take out both supports. Now the Primal Rage does come out from Fraggy, and that's going to allow Himsy to get 1 kill onto Ben Best, but Zik has immediately traded back.
And now for GamersOrigin, they're still trying to keep this fight alive. Linkser, though, the blade is out, moving in, and gets poked down pretty heavily. And frankly, didn't really have targets in mind when he did the Dragon Blade. GamersOrigin was in full retreat, and Linkser just gets bopped towards the top. This is going to open up a great opportunity here for GamersOrigin, where now they don't have to worry about the blade. They have the man advantage as Zappos just goes down, and Dixie Dix will be in a great position for a Dragon Blade that could be fatal here to NIP.
Saving grace was that Transcendence along with that Tactical Visor, but Himsy went down as he was in the middle of casting it. Now they do have a 2-for-1 exchange. Linkster starting to go off on this Genji so far, but Poco did trade away for Zuppa.
Right now, NIP, they do have a respawn advantage. Respawns are moving in. So GamersOrigin not going to get this one just here. And it is worth knowing that NIP had to defend last year for 4 minutes, almost 4.5 early on. So in terms of just taking a bit of a breather here, Jamerson, they have stabilized a bit, but they still have a while to go. It's not easy to defend this last point on 66.
And there's a lot of power behind GamersOrigin's next push right now. Kinnel, the only one with the ultimate on the side of NIP. They've got the sound barrier, but they're going to have to deal with Poco here, who does have that Tactical Visor, and there's no real counter.
Well, as far as it goes, I mean, you can back away from him. You can throw someone to Poco in the situation. This is why Poco, he's going really deep here, but this is dangerous. For Attack Visor, you need a little bit more room, and he's just waiting for the position to drop the Attack Visor, but it's really late. He hasn't used it here just yet, even as the Transcendence is up, but now the Attack Visor comes out here from Poco, and GamersOrigin, slight man advantage, moving in. Still difficult though. NIP, they're playing around the side. They're not giving GamersOrigin a big clump to really go into, and they're rope-a-doping this pretty well.
And now with 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go, they were just 1.38 meters away, but Dixie Dix does have this Dragon Blade at the ready. It's immediately going to get countered by Zuppa though. He's got that Transcendence at the ready, and so now GamersOrigin just not able to find their timing in these pushes.
This has been a little bit rough here for GamersOrigin. They had momentum and it somewhat got away from them, but now they're going to move in. Dixie Dix with the Dragon Blade, but it's right into the Transcendence. This is going to be mostly a wash. Ultimate traded for Ultimate here. NIP still in a good position, though Himsy and Zuppa rather wounded here. It's going to be up to Linkser. The blade is out. Will he be able to clean this up? Finds one early on. Still dashing through. Good help for Linkser. And not quite as much as he would have liked, but it moves things just enough for Zappos to get the cleanup.
Yeah, it's coming down to the final push for GamersOrigin right now as they do back off for it. They do have the Transcendence once again on hip. Behind it, it's going to be the Primal Rage, possibly the Tactical Visor for Poco, but he hasn't been able to get much off of these so far. And like you had mentioned, NIP were doing a really great job of just staying spread out, playing the line of sights, and just avoiding it.
Well, we are now into the final 20 seconds. GamersOrigin, it is do or die if they want to finish out here on Route 66. Zappos trying to end things before it begins with the early pulse bomb. Doesn't quite connect. GamersOrigin, though, they have the Transcendence up. They can move right in with the heavy dive, and you gotta think that's what they're gonna be looking for. They're still a little bit spread out right here, but with a full 6, Attack Visor on deck, the final Visor away, but no, Poco getting just taken down. No, he wins versus Fraggy in the back. He is able to win that at 20 HP, and GamersOrigin now with a real chance of bringing this in.
NIP tried to go for that swap off. Himsy going on to Diva to deal with Poco there, but unfortunately he found his opening, and now he's starting to really light them up, taking out Zappos, and now time is ticking down. NIP, they're getting the staggered respawns here while they're just focusing down that Diva. Himsy will go down.
Himsy goes down, and GamersOrigin so close to pushing this one in. Poco just cleaning up every member of NIP as they roll back in. Linkser, last moment Dragon Blade, aided by Transcendence. This combination could push GamersOrigin off. They're not on the payload. They cannot retreat for too long, but they get right back on even as time ticks down. NIP still in desperation here, trying to delay this out, but they're getting the kills they need to do just that. GamersOrigin, they're so close yet so far.
Yeah, especially that respawn distance. Talk about far at this point. It feels like miles, and now Dixie Dix and Noki, though, coming on in. Linkser goes down.
It's Dixie Dix showing up out of nowhere with 3 kills, making 4 dash resets for days on the payload. It was looking like NIP might have held here, but with the power of Dixie Dix on their side, GamersOrigin is able to push that in at the last moment.
Yeah, just all across this map, it looked like individually, when you're talk about the 1v1s, the Genji versus Genji, the Tracer versus Tracer. Everything was just coming up for GamersOrigin there throughout the entirety. And NIP were able to actually mount a defense once they got to that warehouse portion, but they weren't able to put a stop to them.
Well, it's actually very strange, too, because there was a moment where they had about 3 to 4 kills on the payload in overtime. They even had Dragon Blade Transcendence, which, if it's not getting countered by a similar combination, is usually something strong enough to at least clear out a payload long enough for overtime to go away. But GamersOrigin, at the right moment, was able to back out. Overtime came about a third away from finishing, and they got back on just in time. And it's a situation that I'd say normally NIP should have been able to push them out on, but it was well played by GamersOrigin to keep that one alive.
So it is going to be GamersOrigin on the defense, and they're just going to go for that triple DPS once again, but they are bringing on an Ana. I believe that's the exact same way that NIP had opened up.
Yeah, they're bringing out the Ana here, and of course, we've seen teams more willing to not run with Ana in the beginning, where teams are more willing to run Lucio Zen, and hey, sometimes we even see Zen Ana. So it is sort of interesting how the support game in Overwatch is saying, hey, you actually don't just have to play this all the time. There's a little bit more variety in play.
The nice thing about it is just getting that early nano boost there, so you can have a bit more pressure on the cart earlier on. And we'll see if that comes to fruition for GamersOrigin. NIP hovering over what looks like just the standard EU composition at this point, that triple DPS dive once again. We'll see if Zappas can really bring it out for his team. His pulse bombs, he landed 1 or 2 there, but he just hasn't been as impactful as we've seen many Tracers so far here in EU.
Well, it was back and forth there for Zappas early on. It's a case where it's hard to evaluate on just one round. I am curious to see what happens in this round. Certainly one to look at here is Fraggy, where Fraggy is a little bit more aggressive than your average fair tank here in EU, but sometimes it gets into trouble where Fraggy, diving in early, already half HP, gonna have to back out, and GamersOrigin not giving up too much for free here. Not quite full diving the way that NIP did early on, but their poke does result in early death here on the Zix. So you see GamersOrigin, now they're doubling down. Doesn't matter that they lost a Tracer. They are all in, and NIP feasting on their corpses.
Yeah, GamersOrigin just wanted to make sure they didn't stagger their kills there. So as soon as they had lost 2 or 3, they just decided to just, you know, jump right into the maw there. So they'll be able to reset and be able to recontest this. NIP with 3 minutes and 14 seconds now.
I mean, you could jump into the maw, but there's a perfectly available cliff. You could get some fresh air, or you could just retreat back. I don't know if feeding NIP ultimates there was really the play, but in any case, GamersOrigin is going to get the full reset. They did die all about the same time, and they're going to deep dive right back into NIP with good results this time. Zappe and Himzy going down immediately off of that dive from Ben Best.
Yeah, just the Winston along with a Genji and Tracer jumping onto the back line here. Ben Best lands right on top of Fraggy, takes him out. He might fall himself. Lynx are getting the dash resets. Even picks up the Mega here, but now he's in a 2v1. Zappas is there to back him up, though, and it looks like NIP might have just cleaned this up on the payload.
NIP able to bring things right back here. GamersOrigin's the dive. They weren't able to keep up the intensity. It's been somewhat sloppy here, though, by both teams, where fights where you'd think after an advantage one team would win, they end up throwing it away just by going a little bit too deep. And GamersOrigin, they don't want to give this up for free, but I don't know if Lucio had to go in there just yet. They still had everyone coming out, but with that early death, they just open things up for Linkser. They get 2 dash resets. Doesn't even need to use Blade here just yet. Both teams jockeying for position on the point.
Yeah, it was able to get that nano boost onto Ben Best here, and with that, able to convert on that kill onto Zappe, and now GamersOrigin back on the point. It's going to force back NIP.
That was a rough wake-up call for Linkser, where, you know, he's doing a lot of work, gets a little bit of a sleep in, and yeah, just gets ragdolled right back up. And GamersOrigin able to come back in despite the early death. So again, I feel like both of these teams have been giving each other gifts, and neither team has really been capitalizing the way you would want here. But the real story here is that despite how this has gone down, GamersOrigin is a minute 30 away from holding off NIP and being that much closer to this map 1 victory here on Route 66.
Yeah, and with that last fight, GamersOrigin was actually able to force out that Transcendence from Zappe. So when this Dragon Blade comes on out, they'll be able to push forward with that sound barrier if they want. Himzy is going to go ahead and use that Tactical Visor, though.
Tactical Visor comes out here from Himzy. NIP all in, but they might as well be all out. Himzy tasting the blade of Dixie Dix there. 3-2 in favor of GamersOrigin, and they're just going to trade it out very effectively. They'll get respawns in before the next push, and Lynx are doing the classic backflip die maneuver.
All right, 53 seconds left for NIP. They just need to get the first checkpoint here to keep this alive here on Route 66.
Well, the cool thing there is that Zappis was able to get 2 towards the very end, and that is going to give NIP a bit of an advantage coming in here. So GamersOrigin, again, a bit on the hot seat. Zik, pulse bomb at the ready, looking for a target. Lobs it right in, doesn't connect. Zappis, meanwhile, doing work into the back. A tail of 2 tracers with Zappis right now doing more. NIP not going down quietly here on Route 66 just yet. They should be able to punch this one right in.
Just in the nick of time, 20 seconds left. They will get that first checkpoint, taking into the second phase now here on Route 66. GamersOrigin, though, their defense looking pretty strong.
Their defense is looking good, but this has also been the NIP story all day long, where they toy with your hearts. They barely get to each point. They were able to get to this point in the tournament, but nothing has been easy for NIP today. And for a team of their pedigree, this has been rough. That said, 2.5 minutes left. They can pick up some momentum here, but Fraggy just really far out, arguably too much so. The rest of his team wasn't really with him, and though they're able to trade out Winston's, this isn't the greatest opening here for NIP.
Nanovisor comes out from GamersOrigin, but it's immediately answered by that Transcendent. Through it, though, Poco will be able to find that kill onto Linkser. Now they're starting to clean up, but they're off the payload, so got some free distance there. Now Fraggy and Zappis coming in.
And again, this could have been a much easier fight for NIP early on. Yes, perhaps respawns will let them bring it back over, but they're giving up kills in situations where they don't need to give up kills. I mean, Fraggy was very deep there where he didn't need to be, and yes, the payload is moving now, and they do have a barrier blade coming up, but this has been tough for NIP.
Yeah, Linkser does spot out that Soldier 76. He doesn't have to even worry about the tactical visor, just the support ultimates, that possible sound barrier. Noki's so close to it, he's at 82% right now.
All right, well, GamersOrigin, they do have outs here in this fight. The long blade of Dixie Dix is ready if he decides to come in with that Dragon Blade. And right now, it's a bit back and forth here. You have Ben Best creating a bit of disruption with Primal Rage. Both teams still at 6 players, but now the blade is coming up from Linkser. Both Genjis unleash the blade, but the sound barrier is going to be making Linkser's life a little bit rougher here. He has to back out immediately, doesn't get as much as he wants, but while all that is going on, you might have been looking at the blade, but they weren't looking at the dive from Fraggy and Zappis, able to cleave through the back line and give NIP an opening that they desperately needed.
Yeah, timing was so unfortunate. Noki was about 95% towards his ultimate there when the blade came on out. And as soon as it did, I believe it was Ben Best dropped first, so they were already playing into a man disadvantage there, and they had no real other power behind it other than that Dragon Blade to try and answer back. So now NIP, with 2 minutes on the clock, they've got to push it pretty far away here in the warehouse.
And it takes a while for this payload to actually just traverse, even when everyone's on the payload, so they don't have that much of a buffer here, maybe 2 fights at most. GamersOrigin taking the initiative, diving in with Primal Rage early on here, gonna be answered by the Transcendence from NIP. Both teams still alive, no one dying in that entire exchange. And the important thing for NIP, they're keeping the payload moving, and they get the pulse bomb into the back. Now NIP with a chance to really develop some momentum here.
Yeah, Poco got brought down over there by the Mega Health Pack. Now Zix will take his position, has to back away as the Discord Orb is on him. And Zuppy's been doing a much better job of calling out his targets. As we've been seeing, NIP have been focusing really heavily on the Discord targets.
They have been trying to work with Zuppe for sure, but it has been somewhat tortured and back and forth. Still though, they are almost to that yellow box of victory. Ben Best down immediately, a 6v5 opportunity presenting itself. However, Poco is going to be the one to watch here. Has a attack visor, looking for the high ground and has it. Just lays in the visor immediately, but not able to finish a kill. Linkser coming in from the side, stopping that in its tracks. And NIP with a great opportunity now to finish things out with the time advantage.
Yeah, Linkser's got the blade, got 2 kills. That's both supports down, and Ben Best with the Orb of Discord on him. Even though you got 1,000 HP, you burned through that real quickly. Poco did swap off onto that D.Va, but he's going to immediately go down for his efforts. Dragon Blade not even to come out for Dixie Dix, and here's just the final attempt to try and delay.
Well, the delay is coming out here, but NIP is feasting on the corpses of GamersOrigin here. This is, of course, the last moment stall that we see so often, but Zappis more than happy to mow down player after player there towards the end. And NIP, despite a little bit of roughness, able to finish things out with the time advantage as we go into extra rounds.
Zappis really started to come alive there on the offense. He was finding the opening frags for his team, really creating those openings, either pulse bomb or just one-clipping targets. And now you see this is Linkser going off with that Dragon Blade toward that last push. And I mean, things look dire. They almost got full held by GamersOrigin on the first point.
Well, that's been sort of the story of NIP all day long, where they have moments where they remind you that they were at one point one of the very best teams in Europe, but it's been difficult for them to put together a full map of consistent, good quality Overwatch here. And that's why the description of them just being wounded, just barely crawling their way through, has been really apt for NIP, and we'll see if they can get things a little bit more together here. I mean, still, they're in a good position to take Route 66, but with only a 28-second advantage, if GamersOrigin puts forward a defense of a similar caliber, they very well could take this one away from NIP.
Yeah, one of the games I saw earlier today involving NIP here on Route 66, you had mentioned earlier on the broadcast, a 1-minute push that started in overtime before they even got to the bend. They were able to complete out the map. NIP just need to be able to close this out and not struggle here. So GamersOrigin, looks like it's just going to be mirrored compositions coming up from each side. NIP favoring that Ana for the defense.
NIP again is really far up here, where this is high risk, high reward. I will say that in overtime, a single wipe here could be giving GamersOrigin a lot of room to work with. So we'll see if this high risk, high reward works out here for NIP. GamersOrigin right now just trying to gather spawn, get progress on the payload, and NIP this time around more willing to give up room. They're not diving in quite as deep, and I feel like this is pretty smart.
Yep, Ben Best did go down, but they're still getting some movement on that payload so far. 30 seconds left. They're about to hit that bend. Now Zeppe, he almost has that nano boost at the ready. 72% currently, and that's going to be a huge boon if he could just drop it on Fraggy and just try and force people off the point, but a great sleep dart comes in.
We have a sleeping GamersOrigin player here in the back. Gonna get woken up, and is he gonna get out? No, the Ana grenade stops him from healing up the way he'd like to. And now GamersOrigin, time running out. Overtime's about to be in progress. They have to take a 5 versus 6. And with losing Zenyatta early on, this is gonna go from bad to worse. Here comes the nano boost in. We see Himsy diving right into the fray. Pulse bomb connects, and all of a sudden it is Zik creating a moment of hope here perhaps, but Lynx are trying to remove that hope immediately as both teams contest the payload.
Yeah, it's just down to this Genji so far. We do have Lynxer with that Dragon Blade trying to get that final frag here, and there it is. He will go down. And so, NIP able to regain their footing here on the defense and put a stop to them just as they hit that bend.
This is really good for NIP, where, yes, GamersOrigin had a great defense on first, but the defense on first, they had a lot more room to work with beforehand. I'm not going to say it's impossible for GamersOrigin to hold here, because we have seen some pretty crazy holds in recent times, but by all rights, this is a push that NIP should be able to convert on.
And immediately we're seeing Himsy actually hovering over that Diva, not feeling as confident possibly, or just wants to shut down Poco on the side of GamersOrigin.
I personally think Himsy is just wistfully hovering over Roadhog and wondering when can we be reunited, because of course Himsy was at one point one of the most prolific Roadhog players in the game, and NIP has had to sort of move away from their traditional favored strategies here. So Himsy going with the Diva, still a little bit more up his alley if you think about what he has historically played.
Yep, so the 2-2-2 composition for NIP on their offense now. GamersOrigin, though, haven't changed up anything really at all. Hip picking up the Ana, and so we'll see if he can get that nano boost up quickly and throw it onto Ben Best or Dixie Dix. Now, Gate is about to unlock, and so they will be sticking with that.
Well, the key here for me, when you take a look at this here for the GamersOrigin defense, is that they really can't lose anyone over a minute and a half. They have to play this pretty much perfectly. NIP has a lot more room to work with.
And as they get out the gates, Himsy actually swaps off. He's going to go back to that Soldier 76 now. And it's interesting, GamersOrigin actually just holding on top of big girls here.
I think for GamersOrigin, they realize that if they go deeper, it's not really going to help them. They don't have the time to run back for 2 fights. It's 1 fight, and that's it. So you might as well take the most advantageous positioning possible here. But they will have to contest this in just a moment. So expect the dive in soon as NIP just see Frankie more than willing to sit behind and just push that with his Winston head.
Yeah, Zappis below Big Earls, just drawing attention away, trying to create some openings for the team there. Now, they are on the point contesting right now, 45 seconds left, and Himsy starts it off, taking out Ben Best, and that's huge.
Ben Best was a little bit far out, does not get the support he needs, and NIP just a little bit away now from bringing this one right in. They have a 65 opportunity. You see Zappis working working his way around the flank. You have the Winston coming in from the front. This is very difficult here from GamersOrigin. The Pulse Bomb goes out, and it's Linkser. Dash resets coming in, taking out 2 more key parts of GamersOrigin, and this is all over but the crying. NIP will take Route 66 away from GamersOrigin.
Zappos just did a great job of drawing the attention away from the payload and making sure that they couldn't turn a blind eye to him. They had to pay attention. I mean, he's been really coming alive, especially on their first offense there.
Well, Zappos, I mean, he's been a very solid tracer all day, so it's not too surprising to see him have a moment there towards the back. What strikes out to me about both of these teams, though, is that there's definitely times where both Fraggy and Ben Best sort of went down early without a whole lot of rhyme or reason. And one thing we see in Overwatch is that teams are defined by their tank play and initiation. They're defined by how their supports back it up. And there are definitely times where both of these teams had advantages that they sort of threw away off strange initiation. So it was a little bit sloppy from both sides, but NIP holding victorious when the dust settles.
Yeah, and it feels like they do better at the end. It's like when there's a clear path to victory, it's like, oh, we really got to win right now. I guess we'll play this better. Because at the very end there, they were looking fairly patient on their defense and their attack. On their defense, they were just kind of like remaining in the proximity of the payload without really investing their resources. And then they were able to back off towards the end of that minute. And then, of course, they're on attack. They just let their Winston just slowly push forward, and then they backed off and re-engaged right after that pick on Ben Best. But yeah, other than that, NIP, they come out on top on 66.
And yeah, throughout the day, actually, they were struggling on Route 66, and that's where they took a lot of their map losses. And so starting off with the victory, it bodes well for them.
Yeah. Now, we're going into control point now, and so it is going to be a little interesting to see how they play on this one. This is the one that they have been winning more of, but it has been going to a lot of 5 maps, or 5 points. And it looks like we may be going to Lijiang Tower. We are indeed going to that one. Both of these teams showing a lot of that dive prowess. Are we going to be seeing a lot of that same stuff here on Lijiang?
I don't think there's any reason to think that we wouldn't be seeing that. That is how Europe has been playing for the most part. I think if any team would be willing to sort of go back to their roots and suddenly run a tank-heavy setup, it would probably be NIP because, well, that's what they've made their name off of. But it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I would say that NIP right now is really just gunning for Team Liquid's title of toying with the hearts of their fans. So if NIP does win this, don't be surprised to see them drop the first 2 rounds and come back in a reverse sweep, because that has been what NIP has been doing all day long.
They are indeed. But you know what? They made it here. And just to remind everyone, all these teams that we're watching have already qualified. So this is the the first streamed match of potentially many going into today and the group stages. The next map going to be Lijiang Tower, where GamersOrigin, they're going to try to pull it back and tie things up 1-1 in this best-of-3 series. Ninjas in Pajamas, they want to end it here and now and secure their spot in the semifinals. But I'm going to let you guys cast all of the calls.
Well, we are heading into scenic Lijiang Tower, Jameson, or at least they've led us to believe that's one of the nicer parts of the area. They have a garden, they have a control center. What more do you really need?
Well, they've got that holographic koi pond also. That's pretty nice to see. A lot of dead bodies there, though. Maybe not as nice.
Well, you see, that was actually a planning failure because the holographic koi pond was much more expensive than the normal koi pond and way less fulfilling. So I don't really know what's going on with the designers of Lijiang Tower. But what we do know is that we're opening up here on the control center, and both teams will be showing each other their best form of dive.
Yep, and it's going to be mirrored comps like you had said, and we'll see who gets the opening frag here, which is really important as you move on to the point.
Well, right now you see NIP actually being a little bit more hesitant here. GamersOrigin looking to get to the point a little bit quicker, and NIP going, you know what, we're actually going to look to rotate around, and maybe you guys move into us and we punish, but neither team going in too quickly here. But now the engagement is underway, and it's going to be GamersOrigin. 2 quick kills. They punish the dive and duo, Fraggy and Linkser, and it's clean. That's 3 early kills here for GamersOrigin, and it leads to a very quick take.
Yeah, oftentimes here on these control maps, we see that a lot of times the engage gets punished, right? You're used to fighting 3v3 in the back line as the other team counter dives you, but GamersOrigin did just stuck as 6 and were able to focus them down.
They were ready for the dive, and even though it was looking like NIP was going to be the counter dive, it was quite the other way around. That said, NIP coming back in, a Helix rocket right to Dixie Dick to open things out, and now it's just, again, a better counter dive coming in from NIP. They catch GamersOrigin a bit off guard. Now they have the advantage, but we start going into the question of how long can GamersOrigin stall here. Even though they're outgunned and outmaneuvered on all sides, they can still buy a lot of really valuable progress in this fight.
And they are down 3 members so far, trickling in with the kills. Now GamersOrigin, though, they've already got 40% on the board. They still have to deal with the tank here, but the Orb of Discord is there. Zeppe will clean him up. And finally, after 44%, NIP will take the point. They've got the ultimate advantage, too.
Oh, this is a huge ultimate advantage for NIP, and the goal for them here is not to use all the ultimates to win the next fight. You want to ration this out a bit. You don't want to use everything in one go, because then you're just assuring that the fight after that, you're probably going to lose. So we'll see how NIP handles things here. It is a fight they should win. They're able to get the early pickoff, courtesy of Zeppe. Good now play there. And now just Fraggy in Primal Rage. Lots of disruption coming in. And this is buying a lot of time, because GamersOrigin, they're already down a player in the beginning with Jamerson, and they have to back out.
Yeah. So great ultimate usage there coming out from NIP. I mean, starting it off with a frag with the Zenyatas. I mean, we haven't seen the Zenyatas really come alive as we have in other series so far, but you got to be careful of that right click, that alternative fire.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And the key thing about the Zen getting that pickoff is that NIP didn't have to use anything there. They still have a very rich ultimate bank. They had the Primal Rage, but the rest of the really big impact ultimates saved up. And they're just rope-a-doping GamersOrigin here. They're not getting to a bigger fight. They're just backing out, exchanging poke. And while they do this, the progress ticks up. They get to hold on to the reserves. And at some point, GamersOrigin needs to come in here and force something. Make NIP use their stockpile.
Yeah, I like how they've been playing around the Discord Orb also. Whenever they get tagged by one, they just immediately break LOS and then re-engage once it's off of them. But we have the engage coming out from GamersOrigin. They've already got the first frag onto Himsy.
Well, they get the first pick off, and it causes a late Princess to come out from NIP. Now NIP has to use ultimates just to even the odds in the fight where they're down players, and that's never really that efficient. So even though NIP rightfully could have really burned ultimate to save that, they do get pushed off the point because of that early pickoff. So GamersOrigin creating an opportunity for themselves here.
83% on the board for NIP, so even if they retake this point, they're gonna have to hold on to it for one more. Right now, GamersOrigin pushing forward. They've got that sound barrier, they've got the tactical visor, but it's gonna be NIP pushing forward with the first.
NIP moving forward here, trying to use some of their reserved ultimates, but they lose Himsy immediately. The tac visor denied by a good leap in from Ben Best, and suddenly, this push not looking very good for NIP. Yes, they have a Dragon Blade in reserve, but Linkser might be foolish if he were to use it here. So NIP, a team that at one point was in very much control of this round, is going to be down to their very final push.
Yeah, they have no support ultimates. Zeppe at 34% away from his Transcendence, and that's the closest support ultimate. Kindle is so far away. He used it in that last engagement. We do have the engage coming up from NIP.
Here comes Linkser diving right in. The blade is out. Linkser out for blood. A beautiful deflection as Linkser goes to town. And though he ends up dying in the process, the opening was made, and NIP not going down here just yet. One fight away for them now to take this round.
Now Hip. Doesn't look like he's gonna have enough time. He's 20% away. If they can protract this team fight long enough and just survive, they'll have that Transcendence to just try and finish this out, but Zeppe has one of his own.
Zeppe certainly does as well. He's gonna be transcending early on in this fight, just to keep NIP healthy. GamersOrigin gonna have to work around this. They have a Transcendence of their own, but it's late. Ben Best is already dead before the Transcendence comes out. He was way far away from his supports. We'll see if they can even that. Fraggy goes down. All Winston's off the field as both teams look to get on this point, but it's NIP holding strong with the advantage, and it's Linkser and Zappas just cleaning up the scraps here as GamersOrigin is now in last moment stall mode.
Yeah, there's nothing else left for them here. We do have the tactical visor coming out from Himsy, and that's what you want to close it out. And that last frag onto Ben Best. NIP with the opening volley here up against GamersOrigin, just 2 points away from moving on to the semifinals.
So, NIP, and again for them, the real thing that matters at the end is that they do go forward and win these games where it's, of course, some of this was off stream, but it has been a rough weekend for NIP. But for them to go forward and get to the semifinals on day 2, if they do win the next 2 rounds, that would be a really good story for them, given the adjustments they've had to do to the meta, the adjustments in team roster. We'll see if they can do it, though, as we move on to the next round here in Lijiang.
And they were really close yesterday. They made top 16, but they got knocked out by team 1, 2, 3. So this is kind of their redemption day as we do move on to Garden.
Well, we do have a Pharah sighting, something you don't see quite as much in Europe, something you see a whole lot in NA. And we'll see if Dixie Dix has what it takes to control the skies here as both teams start trading out here on the courtyard. Winston's doing the baiting dance. Dixie Dix looking for rockets to the back line. Not quite going to be able to get a pick-off or knock-off there, but the Pharah has created a lot of space control here for GamersOrigin. NIP had to take shelter into the right building.
Yeah, because they all kind of clumped up into one area. Linkser finally answers on back. He's the one on Soldier 76, but he does go down to Ben Best. And talk about compositions, NIP here, Himsy has swapped off onto that D.Va, so they're not playing that typical 3-2-1 that we've been seeing so far.
Just a little bit of spinning. It's still good. It's still good. So, GamersOrigin going to get first control of the point here, and the Pharah Gambit has worked out a bit. And here's the question for me is, how is Himsy going to deal with this? Because the way that you see teams deal with Pharah a lot in NA is that you'll send the D.Va to really mitigate the impact of the Pharah and create space for your 76. But that's also one way to open things up. Pulse bomb the Winston, and 6v5 on the way here from NIP. But it's sick, firing right back. The bombs for both teams on point.
Yeah, now Poco does have that tactical visor, and once that D.Va mech is gone, he can push forward with it if he wants to, and he immediately will.
Back visor from Poco. All enemies are in his sights right now, and that is just a clean tac visor where there's just really nothing to get in his way.
Just great decision-making coming out from Poco there. Knew what the win condition was. Get rid of the D.Va, get rid of the defense matrix, and you have a clean shot there with that tactical visor. So now GamersOrigin sitting at 50% and ticking up.
GamersOrigin is a really good position here, and they do have a swap up. They don't actually want to stay on the Pharah too much longer. I don't think Dixie Dix really thought he was getting as much as he wanted in that last fight. But the D.Va will create more room for the backline of GamersOrigin, certainly more room for Poco as this next fight is underway. Sound Barrier and Transcendence being used respectively by both teams, but both Winstons dying early as GamersOrigin. They use the Sound Barrier, and they are really just trading out Barrier and Transcendence, as both teams using both support ults early on in this fight.
Yeah, the longer this fight goes on, the better for GamersOrigin at this point. They're so close. They're at 80% now, and with those frags, it's going to force back NIP. And pushing forward, NIP don't have too many impactful ultimates to work with. Fraggy does have that Primal Rage, but he just used it. Himsy got demech'd here. He will have a self-destruct for the next fight, but that's really it.
That was the window for NIP. They entered into an ultimate showdown, and they lost. And all the ultimates had faded. GamersOrigin kept control of the point, and Poco with the tac visor will relentlessly mow down anyone else dare attempting to delay.
Yeah, that Pharah just doing so much work. NIP really struggled with it in the opening fight, and we know how important these opening fights are on the point.
The Pharah worked for the first 50%, and it made things difficult for NIP to come back in, where even though the Pharah wasn't in play for the last 50% of the map, the damage had been done at this point. Now, I don't know if we're going to be seeing GamersOrigin bring up the Pharah again. It didn't really seem like they were that comfortable with running it for a long period of time. But Dixie Dix back in the Genji. He's been a good Genji all day long. Not bad of a swap up here as we move into the night market.
Yep, night market, and it's going to be mirrored compositions. 1-1 is our scoreline here on Lijiang. I'm surprised that they didn't offer possibly a triple tank lineup here. We've seen a lot of the European teams actually do that last week, along with NA, I believe, where they were going for that Zarya-Reinhardt combo.
Well, NIP in general, it feels like they are getting away from what their roots were, and even a situation like this where perhaps a triple tank setup could be good, I don't think they want to let themselves get back into that mode. Either way, the first fight here is underway, and Fraggy going very deep early on and getting punished just as quickly. Linkser and Fraggy, one thing we gotta note about this dive is that they're really far out from the rest of the NIP squad. NIP is all the way back, Linkser and Fraggy all the way in the front, and I feel like they're not making it as decisive as a dive could be if you're working with the rest of your team.
Yeah, we saw that getting punished earlier on also by GamersOrigin, just being able to pull back once the dive did come in and focus down targets, and now they're the ones that are the aggressors.
Well, NIP gonna be trying to get out of this lock that they find themselves in. GamersOrigin just trying to hold on to the front, but NIP, they do strike blood early on. And again, it's the Winston Genji dive getting punished here, this time on the side of GamersOrigin, and NIP able to just casually roll up and take it back after dealing with that early Winston Genji dive.
And this is also one of the reasons why we've been seeing like the Koreans really throw on D.Va. They can jump in there and not worry about too much damage because she can mitigate it initially with that defense matrix.
Well, you don't see quite as much D.Va in Europe, period, and it's obviously there's differing philosophies on the game, but I would agree that D.Va in some of these cases would help. In any case, you do see NIP taking this fight here in the back room, and it's working out. Zappis just easily cleaves through Dixie Dix, ends up falling perhaps a little bit too deep. But the important thing here for NIP is that they still have control of the point, and they traded out effectively enough that they will have respawns come in before GamersOrigin can really make a good attempt at it.
Yeah, 40% and ticking up for NIP, but GamersOrigin starting to press forward now. But once again, like you had mentioned, Ben Best, that Winston going down first to Himsy.
Ben Best, again, was really far out, trying to create disruption, but just create depth for himself, and a great opportunity for NIP to just roll in and clean up GamersOrigin here, despite the fact that they're holding on to quite a few ultimates.
That was a really disjointed push coming out from GamersOrigin. As soon as they lost Ben Best, I expected them to try and fall back, but instead they try to go for that cheeky play where they try to get the back cap onto the point, but very rarely does that work.
Well, if you look at the Route 66 play, GamersOrigin is the poker player who has a really bad beat and then doubles down and goes, surely this will work out, as they go into a 5v6. It didn't work out. GamersOrigin, though, they're not really going to get what they want in this push either. Time is quickly going against them, but they lose Dixie Dix before anyone is able to do anything ult-wise, so they could go in with 5 ults, but they're probably going to wait for Dixie Dix in what will be their final attempt to retake this point.
Yeah, I like that they made sure they weren't funneled in there in that choke point. They are immediately pushing out 95%, but Sound Barrier is used by GamersOrigin.
Both teams dropping the beat. They're both all in, and NIP, despite the slight disadvantage early on, they clean up. It's a very late Dragon Blade from Dixie Dix, and though it's picked up 2, now 3, it still actually might bring this one back, but it's certainly a bit late to the party as GamersOrigin fighting for their lives, and just not quite enough as NIP 1 round away from booking their ticket into the semis.
Yeah, Dixie Dix was so close to swinging that back in their favor, and that's the strength of the Dragon Blade. We see a lot of teams being able to fight back from deficits with it. Unfortunately, Dixie Dix, even though he got 3, that just was not enough for them. And so,
well, it's a case where he didn't want to throw the Dragon Blade directly into a support ultimate, but even still, it felt a little bit late in that regard. It just, again, it sort of comes into this disorganization from initiation. We've seen it from both teams, but that was definitely a rougher round for GamersOrigin.
Now Himsy already hovering over that Diva, a little bit wary of that Pharah that came out originally here on Garden for GamersOrigin. I believe it was Dixie Dix playing that, but as soon as they don't see it, oh wait, it's coming out.
Well, as you can see here in the lower left, the next matchup will involve Cyclown, so looking forward to that if you're a fan of that team. But now, we move back into the Lijiang Garden as NIP 1 round away from going deeper into Contenders here on day 2 of EU qualifiers. And you see the fair coming out again here, Jamerson, as Dixie Dix trying to repeat the magic of last time.
Yeah, because he doesn't have that pocket, he has to be careful. If he takes any damage, immediately has to break line of sight from that Soldier 76. Links are doing a good job of focusing him down. And once again, make sure he is not in that fight for too long.
Well, Linkser thought he had a lot of room, but he had all the room in the world to eat a rocket as Dixie Dix going off here towards the very end. How quickly things can change, Linkser, as now you take a look at GamersOrigin. Great position here to get first control of the point, and history, in a sense, has repeated itself. It wasn't quite as dominant from GamersOrigin as the first time they ran the Pharah, and yet still, NIP did not have the best answer to it.
Yeah, we saw there that Linkser got jumped on top of by Ben Best, really enabling Dixie Dix as the Winston bubble did come on down. He just wasn't able to answer that far. She was able to get those rockets down. Now 20% for GamersOrigin.
And for GamersOrigin, if they play this right, if they avoid an early pickoff, just the Transcendence alone should be enough for them here early on. It depends on when Kendall gets the sound barrier. I think that's what NIP is waiting for here. So it's going to be barrier versus that. And actually, they get both support ultimates now. But they lose Zappis early on, so if they move in here with both of those ultimates, it's not going to be nearly as effective. And GamersOrigin just casually tearing through NIP, who does not want to throw good money after bad.
Yeah, Linkser has since swapped off onto that Genji. He was able to find 1 frag, but he does finally go down to Zik, and already time is starting to run out for NIP here on Garden. I mean, 52% on the board for GamersOrigin, and they've got 5 ultimates in tow.
This is a great position here for GamersOrigin. They are well on their way to forcing a map number 5, and let's face it, NIP today, they probably wouldn't have it any other way. They just got to toy with your heart a little bit longer, but we'll see if they can buck that trend here. They are looking for a way in, but for them, the best case scenario here would be a good junk rush where, no, they're doubling down. They're coming in with sound barrier. They are all in on this fight, and GamersOrigin readily obliges Fraggy, already down to well-placed pulse bomb, and the barrage could be well on the way as Dixie Dix patrols the skies.
Yeah, despite this lost fight so far for NIP, they were able to force out both support ultimates. So when Linkser goes in with his blade for this final push, he has a huge window of opportunity, but he's got to deal with that tactical visor.
I gotta say, great stuff there for Dixie Dix. Just rolls around the back line, drops the barrage, and gets what he's looking for, waits out the defensive matrix, and just good patience on his part as NIP. Now, in overtime, they have to get here onto the point, but Poco hanging out here into the house, hangs out right into Linkser's Dragon Blade. That is not a fun party place at all. Linkser diving in. 2 kills here for NIP as they struggle for life. Here on the Garden, yeah, Jamerson, this is looking like it will be an effective push. NIP, not out of this just yet.
Yeah, that was a great play coming out from NIP. They set it up with Himsy going in with that self-destruct. Once that self-destruct came out, that forced GamersOrigin to split up, and they were able to actually target down Poco. As soon as Poco was targeted down by Linkser himself, there was no counter to that Dragon Blade, and Linkser was able to really enable the rest of his team to pick up the frags there. They will flip it back, but at this point, GamersOrigin have so much time to work with.
Goodbye, Poco. Fraggy sending you on a one-way trip to the pavement. Good knockoff coming up there from Fraggy, and that was even Primal base. That was just him landing in a stylish way. Still though, NIP getting wounded here, left, right, and center. They are losing the poke battle, and GamersOrigin is bringing this one right back. Who needs a soldier anyways?
Yeah, Ben Best coming on. That's going to be his 3rd frag of this fight, and now it's in overtime. It's ticking down. There's no one from NIP even close. And so, we're taking it to a map number 5 now here on Lijiang.
Like I said, this has been the NIP story all day long. It would not, if NIP had cleanly won this 3-0, that would have been the shock to me. No, they need to toy with you and bring it to the very end.
I don't know how much more my heart could take, ZP. This is just too much.
It's tough, it's tough. I mean, I'm probably going to have to see the doctor after this just to make sure everything is in the right place. However, we are heading back here to the control center, and NIP still with a golden opportunity to take the map and take the series.
Looks like it's going to be mirrored compositions once again, the exact same way they played it the first time these two teams met on this point. Last time, it was NIP going a bit too aggressive, GamersOrigin sticking as a 6 and punishing the 3 divers. We'll see if NIP make that same mistake or if they can find a better opening.
Well, right now, GamersOrigin moving right in. Not a whole lot of chill as they move right up here, and yeah, I think they're a little bit more willing to dive in, but now both teams actually taking it a little bit slow here. Neither wanting to go in early as Himsy, lucky not to die, eats a Helix Rock and just barely gets out of that. Yet, we see NIP going in right after, and I don't think they realized how out of it Himsy was there as Poco piles on in this fight. NIP start diving in there right as Himsy was trying to back up and get healed, and that was not on the same page at all.
Yeah, Zappis was a little out of position also. If you saw him, he was over there by the Mega Health Pack, by stairs in the inner corridor. And so when they went for that dive, they were only diving in with Fraggy and Linkster, so not the full dive either. And that just took a lot of oomph out of their push. So now GamersOrigin, once again, with the position first.
NIP not wasting a whole lot of time getting back in. Linkster, 76 is his target, but Ben Best is there with the backup. Unfortunately, Linkster just taken down from all sides, and NIP getting thrown off here with authority. Sure, Zappis is darting in and around, but he's not going to be able to bring this one back in all likelihood.
Poco does have that tactical visor at the ready. Pulse Bomb not quite connecting by Zappis there, but it will make GamersOrigin a little bit more tentative.
Well, Zappis and getting that final kill, it wasn't good for the remaining fight, but it was good for the next fight because GamersOrigin, it's going to be a little bit delayed. They had to give up space because they didn't have a full 6, and it gave NIP good positioning. Fraggy, though, out, taken down very early on here in this fight, and now NIP stuck without their Winston, now having to deal with the Transcendence, but they get Ben Best right before it gets popped. It's just a little bit late, and now NIP is in a great position, and they're going to finish it out strong with the Transcendence of their own.
Only about 65% on the board for GamersOrigin before it gets flipped on over. Make that 66 now. They've got 2 ultimates ready to use for the next fight. Fraggy getting close to his Primal Rage, along with Zappis's Pulse Bomb. Nothing really to answer on the side of GamersOrigin.
No, not at all. But what NIP really needs here is a clean fight here, where I would just love to see a barrier into a blade that is done just really well. They have to worry about a blade from Dixie Dix, but this is a case where if you're going to win the round, you need to win something as this match, but they're already down 2, and Dixie Dix says, actually, I want more. Dragon Blade into the back, finds Linkster, cuts him in half, flanking DPS on the menu. And now, GamersOrigin taking it right back. Not much more room for error here for NIP as they were in the final round, and they have about one fight to get.
This is possibly the final fight between these two teams here on Lijiang Tower. It's getting closer and closer. 79%, 80 for GamersOrigin.
GamersOrigin now on the verge of taking this map, forcing map 3, but NIP, they're opening up the barrier. They are diving right in. Linkser still has that blade in reserve. Soundbarrier comes out from GamersOrigin, so Linkser has to hold it, but no! Taken down by Poco, drilled by the tactical visor, and Poco out for blood, getting the targets he needs. He said he had them in his sights. He was not lying. NIP on the verge of being brought to a third map.
How fitting, as I believe every single match so far for NIP has gone to the third map. But we do have a last-ditch effort coming out from Linkser, but he's going to get dropped down. Poco to finish that off.
Well, the blade finally comes out for Linkser, but that was pretty much a one versus all situation and wasn't quite going to work out for him. So GamersOrigin staying alive, bringing NIP to a map number 3. But if there is one thing to note here about third maps today, NIP has probably had more practice on Anubis than any other team here at Contenders, so this is, in a sense, perhaps NIP's stomping grounds just by virtue of how often they've been taking the threes.
Yeah, their dive so far on Hanamura and Anubis have been looking pretty good. We'll see if they can maintain that up against GamersOrigin here for map number 3.
Yeah, we're going to all 3 here, and I just have to say, after watching that one, and even after watching some of the earlier matches, I like Poco. I actually really like him. He was making some plays, a little bit of a dry spell on the second half of 76, but he has some good visors, and he's been able to get some key kills here and there. And we've been talking a lot about some of the 76s we've seen, and they've been a little lackluster from a lot of teams.
Well, the thing about Poco right now is that you're seeing it more off tac visors than mechanical play, and he's also sort of doing what we call an NA, the Harblue, where a lot of times he's going off on a wide flank on his own, which can work out, but we've also seen him get punished multiple times by just the team realizing, wait, there's a soldier here and he's not with his team. Yeah. It doesn't really matter if you have a tac visor up in those situations. So he's been gambling on that a bit. Yeah. He's probably come up better than not here so far, but I don't know if that is going to work out super well against all the teams in the tournament.
Because you can punish it, especially if you know that that's an issue. And we saw that actually on the third point of Route 66, where he was like trying to hold the high ground and then he jumped down and run to the other side. And but either way, he had a good showing here. The other side of this that I really enjoyed from this GamersOrigin squad is Dixie Dix on Pharah, first of all. But I mean, he's been also playing pretty well on Genji, another player to watch for sure.
Yeah, it definitely looked like NIP just weren't as comfortable trying to deal with that far. And the issue was that there were just so many threats, right? He had to deal with Poco on the ground with that 76, and then also Pharah on this guy. Like, who do you prioritize at that point? And a lot of teams still struggle trying to deal with the Pharah in that kind of situation. Especially Himsy, you know, he doesn't get to play as much diva as he would probably like. Really struggling with it there.
Yeah, they switched to that Himsy to that diva to try to deal with it. It just didn't work out, and he was timing his ultimates, and I guess he really only had one big impact ultimate there. But it looks like we are going to be moving on to our next map. It's going to be Hanamura, and this one was selected by Ninjas in Pajamas. What are our thoughts on that one?
Well, it's interesting because we saw them play Anubis all day long. I think the only reason I can think of here is that even though they had more experience on Anubis, I think they had a lot of close calls. I mean, for example, just to get in and qualify for top 16 in Contenders, they had a matchup where they had about a minute 30 left to get a tick, or they would have been knocked out. So they technically qualified by the slimmest of margins on Anubis. So perhaps there was things going on Anubis where they said, you know what, this is a little bit too close. Let's not go down this path again. Maybe Hanamura will be a better look for us moving forward.
And we have seen more Hanamura today than we have, I think, all of last weekend, certainly. It is an interesting pickup. I like seeing Hanamura. A lot of teams have some pain points here, and it looks like Ninjas in Pajamas are going to try to take advantage of maybe some pain points in GamersOrigin if they are able to find success here. One of the really striking features of this map is, that second point is just so wide open.
Yeah, it is terribly large, double the size of Anubis there. And one of the more interesting things is that you have different approaches that you can take. You can try to push from the right-hand side, or you can try to go for the dive, leave your 76 on the high ground, let him have free reign, and if the defenders don't deal with him, he just gets free damage off the entire time. And so you have those options, where on Anubis, it's not quite there.
I would say the biggest trouble for an offense going into Hanamura is the fact that defenses on Hanamura can be very spread out. And as we all know, on assault maps, if you can't get that flawless victory where you really get tons of momentum and you stop perhaps one of your players from getting killed early on, it's difficult to take the point. So the thing about Hanamura is it's sort of herding cats on the defense side, making sure you get everyone down in one fell push. And that can be more difficult in Hanamura because there's plenty of places where you can go, and defenses do tend to be a little bit more spread out.
Yep, so now we are loaded up onto Hanamura. It's going to be GamersOrigin starting off on the offensive end. NIP defending first, and they're already signaling this 2-2-2 composition for themselves.
This is really no surprise with how NIP has been playing recently. Of course, there's part of me, just given how salt maps work, where I do wonder if they forsake the roots a little bit too much here. We have seen teams have success with Hog from time to time, and Himsy, of course, still has a love affair with that beautiful man. But, you know, NIP, this is sort of the new NIP style, and it's what they are banking on nowadays.
Yeah, interesting thing to note is that Linkser will be picking up that Soldier 76, so no Genji for him here. Not going to be able to really snowball off of a lot of these fights, but it does give you a bit more sustain with that biotic field, and we'll see if that comes to fruition. Now, GamersOrigin, though, possibly going with this Sombra, and we have seen this before. Teams try to go for an offensive Sombra. Never mind.
Well, you wouldn't be wrong for thinking that. We've seen Sombra be mixed in all sorts of ways, both in contenders and certainly if you look at competitions like Apex. Not every team, though, really comfortable with how to run here, and these teams gonna run it a little bit more standard with what we've seen from the West.
All right, so they are through the gates so far, but Ben Best has to be careful. It's actually Fraggy who jumps back, receives that biotic nade, and Great Sleep Dart comes out. Ben Best will be woken up, and he survives from now. Dixie Dix comes in, takes out Zuppa.
That was really tough for NIP. They had a good sleep there, but they went for the kill on the sleep, but they weren't able to finish it off instead of just going for the rest of the people. And GamersOrigin taking advantage of that just error in execution from NIP. This is a remarkably quick take here on Hanamura. And the danger here for NIP is that when you get taken on that quickly for point A on assault, oftentimes defending point B can be difficult. So a tide is coming now for NIP.
Yeah, Zik, he's almost got that pulse bomb, just a few more percentage there, and he's been pretty good about spotting out these targets and connecting with them. So NIP have to be cognizant of that, have to be very wary. Now they are pushing in for the high ground right now. Pulse bomb came out, did not connect though.
And GamersOrigin just looking to brute force this. Everyone up and through the right, but it's working out. You take a look, they're not really getting poked down that much. They're forcing NIP back, so NIP, they get demech. They give up positioning here, and the visor is out. This is the flood from GamersOrigin. Momentum from first, carrying into second, and because NIP couldn't hold the high ground here, now they're in danger of giving up second very quickly.
Yeah, Zik tried to go for that predictive pulse bomb there, but didn't quite work out. Here's the nano visor coming on out. Himsy trying his best to keep him alive, but Dixie Dix will finally clean up that soldier.
He's going to clean that up, and GamersOrigin piling on right now. It's already desperation time for NIP, and barely any time has elapsed. Dixie Dix, the cleanup on the blade, right into the back. They're just trying to deal with the NIP stall. Now, they did lose Poco. Poco wasn't able to really camp up towards the high ground, so this is the opportunity for NIP to bring this back, and off of Fraggy's tank play, they are starting to climb this mountain where this last point can get very stall heavy, and unless it's flawless, you can let a team back in. And NIP, though it might not look like it, is starting to get there, but Zix moving in and keeping the hope alive for GamersOrigin.
Yeah, but now the bulk of the army is back. Linkser had swapped off onto that Mei, taking out Zik, and they will force them back. But one of the most important points there, early on in the fight, we saw that Poco was able to get the high ground advantage, but Fraggy immediately decided, I have to deal with this threat. I can't let him go unabated. He got on there, took him out, and jumped right back onto the point with his primal rage and was able to stall out long enough. GamersOrigin only able to get one tick.
The one tick part there is important. It was very close to being 2 ticks, but it wasn't. And now the momentum of the game has completely shifted, where going into that last fight, of course, GamersOrigin had grabbed first. They really had a strong engage onto the high ground, and they got ultimates up first. Now you take a look at the game, the situations have been utterly reversed, where NIP has a lot more to work with, and it's going to be GamersOrigin that they're going to have a bit of a slog here, even though they have 5 minutes left.
They are working towards another tactical visor, trying to gain control of the high ground. Poco taking out his counterpart. Linkser is down, but Dixie Dix has dropped low. He's got to be careful.
It's a good early pickoff to get Linkser, but more work has to be done, especially with what they're working with. But Poco making a case for himself. 2 kills unaided by the Visor with a Visor in reserve. Now NIP getting serious. They drop the barrier to deal with the Visor, and they throw out the self-destruct, completely disrupting GamersOrigin's flow. They all have to dive off, and yet they are healthy. They avoided it, and they're starting to pile on. So in a case where NIP was looking very strong to start this fight, they've given up some of their advantage and opened the door for GamersOrigin to possibly, maybe, come in and take the point here. Still, though, there's a way to go.
Yeah, Poco has that high ground position once again, but it was the blade foot coming out from Dixie. Dixie picks up 2, and now with 4 members down, it's taking up. There's no one on the point. GamersOrigin will complete this out with 3 minutes and 58 seconds left.
Boy, that escalated quickly. Seriously, though, that was a case where that shouldn't have gone down the way it did for NIP, where they had a great ultimate advantage there, but what really happened is that Poco gets Linkser early on, gets the early kill. NIP still goes, we don't really want to invest much into this. They end up losing their Winston, and now they're down 4, and they go, oh, actually, this is serious. And how they use their ults there, they were almost too focused on ult economy, and it came back to bite them, where not only does GamersOrigin finish out the map, but they finish out the map with quite a bit of a buffer as well. This is not a good position to be in if you're NIP.
No, not a good position at all. 4 minutes remaining, essentially, for GamersOrigin here in their time bank. Now, NIP, they really did struggle trying to deal with Poco here. And so we'll see if they can turn a bit more attention to him or if he'll be left to his own devices, just getting 3 damage off.
Well, I mean, what happened there is just a simple, you had Linkser versus Poco, and Poco landed enough pulse rifle damage, followed up by a Helix rocket, and that was that. It was just a case where you lose a key soldier setup like that, and it makes it difficult to actually run back. And NIP still had ways of bringing that back. They had plenty of ults in reserve. It's just something was messed up about how they handled that, where yes, GamersOrigin played it well, but to lose a second point fight on Hanamura when you have that much in reserve, it's not something that should typically happen.
So the defensive setup for GamersOrigin is just going to be typical 3-2-1. We do see Hip going to be bringing up that Ana, which is the same thing that NIP did on their defense.
All right, well, you see GamersOrigin right now holding on to their defense, and they have a lot of room to work with here. Even if they get taken on first early on, as long as it's not a crazy momentum-shifting attack that would let NIP get a good attack on second, it's totally fine. So we'll see how this one pans out, as NIP certainly going to be looking to set a quick time here because they need the match with GamersOrigin just to set on the board.
They're holding pretty far back on the right-hand side, are GamersOrigin right now, just waiting for them to go for the high ground. Nelky, it's the first frag onto Himsy, and immediately NIP signed the retreat.
Himsy just got demolished there from all sides. Sure, it was Noki who got the killing blow, but it was just good focus fire coming in there from GamersOrigin, and Himsy, the odd man out there, and that delays the entirety of the NIP push, where this is a good 30 seconds coming off the clock, and it's good for GamersOrigin because it gives them the buffer zone where even if they lose this fight, it's not going to be as bad as Subway from downtown finds Poco with that secondary fire, and yet it's still even. GamersOrigin flanking NIP on both sides and making this engage rather cozy for them.
Yeah, but taking out Poco and Ben Best, that's a lot of DPS gone on the side of GamersOrigin and staying power on the point, so they are going to fall back just a little bit, give up some of that resource, give up some of that bar, and try to go and contest now. They do spot out one, but it's just Zappis on the points by himself.
Zappis right now being the hero we need, perhaps not the hero we deserve, staring down the enemy team of GamersOrigin 1 versus 4, but quickly getting out, and you don't want to feed the extra trace of death as your team is coming back in. But NIP, they've at least broken through here. They don't have to worry about getting jumped on too heavily on the gate, and Zik just a little bit far out. So now NIP is in a really good position to get onto this point and apply pressure to GamersOrigin, where, Fraggy, that's not the nap you want to take. Do not sleep on the jump. He's taken down. And suddenly, GamersOrigin, even though they're on the back foot and the Transcends is out, well, no, there's not any hope anymore.
No, not anymore. Picking up all those frags. It's just Zik here left. No, actually, he went down earlier on, so it's just Dixie Dix. So NIP will be able to secure the point. They'll have 6 minutes on the clock. But things, they're not able to snowball the way that GamersOrigin did. Like, they had the advantage pushing in when they did on the offensive side, but now NIP gonna struggle a little bit here.
Certainly. I mean, there's multiple threats here where, again, a Tac Visor can end your push. A Dragon Blade can end your push. And both are up here. And, well, your Tracer losing in a Tracer v Tracer, that certainly can end your push. So that's already going to delay NIP a bit here as they look to crack the puzzle that is point B, Hanamura.
Boko holding over at the window will fall back as his team has drawn all the way back towards the spawn here. NIP just holding outside this holding pattern. They do have 3 members pushing up from the high ground right now. They're trying to spot out the biggest threat. I feel like it might be Poco here. He does have that tactical visor at the ready.
NIP is really split here, but here comes the Nano Blade. Dixie Dix going to town. That's what you love to see as a Genji, when you come up with a blade and everyone is grouped together. And just like that, NIP going to be finding themselves back at their spawn door.
They're working their way up towards 6 ultimates here, so they were able to get 2 out on the side of GamersOrigin, so we'll see if they can win with this ultimate advantage, but we've seen a lot of teams actually struggle this weekend having the ultimate advantage and closing out.
No doubt about it. And the problem for NIP, even though they have 4 minutes and 50 seconds left just about, this is still problematic in getting in. GamersOrigin even making early entry tough here on NIP, where they're trying to come in from multiple sides, mostly up through the right here. Pulse Bomb is out, doesn't quite get what they're looking for. And GamersOrigin is very healthy here as they push us back. It's NIP that's barely struggling to life as they try and move forward. And you know what? When a Pulse Bomb gets lured to the back line, that makes things so much more difficult.
Yeah, now Zuppa, he had his Transcendence at the ready, but he went down. And we also see a swap-off coming out from GamersOrigin, right? Dixie Dix had already used his blade, so he was no longer a real big threat to Himzy. So he just had to make sure that he's going to be there with the defense base to try and shut that down.
So we saw this earlier in the day where NIP was really just banking up tons of ults here on Hanamura in one big bang, but GamersOrigin, they're doing the exact same thing, so NIP could be betting the farm on one gigantic ultimate v ultimate push, but that's dangerous here in Assault, especially when the other team still has ultimates up. So we'll see if this gambit works out here from NIP. They could pull the trigger any fight here. They haven't pulled it yet in this fight, but with that kill, now all hands are on deck. You gotta expect NIP is gonna take advantage of this pick.
Oh, Ben Best going up top there. Orb of Discord immediately on him. They're gonna engage with that sound barrier now. It is answered in kind on the side by NIP, but here's the tactical visor coming on out.
Tactical visor coming on out. NIP in a great position here. No one has died here so far. Poco is down, and NIP piling on here. The Transcendence is out just to make sure no one dies. A little bit delay coming out here from Ben Best, but he is under assault from so many sources. His life bar just melting, courtesy of the Discord Orb. And NIP with 2 ticks. 3 minutes left. They are not going down quietly into this good night. They just need a little bit more to even the score here with GamersOrigin.
Yeah, they're just about 10% away from being able to take this on over to the time-based portion. Linkser and Himzy just cleaning on up now as they are staggering on to the point. They're able to make it with that Mei, so a little bit more delay coming on out.
Poco's saying, you know, chill out a little bit. We're not out of this here, even though everyone is dying. It is delay that is endemic to Hanamura, but finally, things chill out just a bit, and NIP will force us into some extra rounds here on Hanamura. Still at a bit of a time disadvantage, though, so they just got done attacking. Guess what? They get to attack again.
We'll see if they're hot off that first offense, but they did struggle initially trying to make their entry onto the point A.
Well, in case this hasn't been throwing it up for you here, next matchup coming up going to be Cyclowns versus Team Expert, not Team eSports, even though that would have fit with the entire theme of the upper bracket.
Yeah, so that's going to be our first semifinal match of day number 2 of our EU qualifiers.
But now we take a look at Scenic Hanamura, where, you know, it's a good-looking place. Security's not all that great, but you take what you can get here, Jamerson.
I mean, it's terrifying, right? At least they're built on a ledge, so there's only real one entry point for Hanamura, but still, I'm afraid of heights myself. That would terrify me.
Well, you probably wouldn't do well in Hanzo and Genji's wall climbing school.
Not at all, not at all.
Hello.
Now, taking a look at the defensive setup, there's just going to be standard coming out from GamersOrigin. Poco once again on that 76, that triple DPS dive. Hip on the Ana. Last time we saw, they were able to land some good sleep darts, just not able to convert off of it. So they've got to make sure that they're crisp and clean on that execution if it does happen once again. NIP, though, sitting on their own triple DPS.
The best case scenario here for an NIP, especially when they're at a time deficit, is that not only do they need to go forward and make this first attack successful, but they do want to get that momentum push in the second. If they can do that and get 4 points on the board, they have a real chance of taking this away. If GamersOrigin, however, conversely, is able to gum up the works here, it's going to be pretty difficult. But NIP, not wasting a whole lot of time, moving in from multiple angles, and it's Linkser and Fraggy setting up a dive onto this tower here. And now the dive starts beginning. A little bit weird, though, as both Winstons the mating dance on top of the towers. NIP actually goes all the way to the side.
Yeah, I've seen this before. I've got the high ground. They're not challenging quite yet. They do jump on up. It's going to force them back. But the longer they try to contest this, the more time they're running out of to actually attack the point.
GamersOrigin is most likely fine with the time that is being delayed here, where this is working out for them. NIP being relatively passive, they put themselves in a corner, literally, and now they're just fighting their way out. Both teams trading off poke. NIP actually a little bit ahead on this poke war, so expect them to dive in pretty aggressively here in just a moment. And yet, they wait. They're waiting a really long time here, and time is just getting away from them.
Yeah, Ben Best dropped really low, but NIP just weren't able to pull the trigger on that kill, so they're going to be able to fight on back. They've got the nano boost. They're immediately forcing them back. NIP slowly running out of time. They got 1 minute 24 seconds, but Himsy getting the frag on the Noki. That's huge.
That was really big for Himsy there. The tracking was where it needed to be. They get down the Lucio. They open up the 6v5, and it is fireworks across the board. Ben Best blown up courtesy of Zappis. And better late than never. NIP, their patience paying off. They're going to take the first point, and they're going to have about a $130 to spare as they move into second.
And yeah, this is exactly the situation you were talking about that they want to be in, right? They've got the ultimate advantage. This is the snowball you want to see, as 4, maybe 5 ultimates will be ready in time for this next push.
I'm not sure they have much of an ultimate advantage here, though, because you look at GamersOrigin, they do have the tack visor and the blade up. This is enough to delay things out. It wasn't quite as decisive because GamersOrigin has tools they can use to bring this right back. Linkser having to back out after the Bionade, and now this is somewhat troublesome from NIP. They still have to be perfect. They're not going to get a better window than this, but GamersOrigin has the tools necessary to make this very rough on them.
Poco, tactical visor at the ready, just waiting for either a Dragon Blade or someone else to come get a little bit too aggressive here. Now Sound Barrier is going to be used by NIP.
NIP, this is their moment. They are all in. They supplement the Sound Barrier with the Transcendence. They still have a full 6 up. GamersOrigin, they've been able to find a good area to use Attack Visor. Poco finally uses it, but just gets destroyed by Linkser in the back. And NIP, have they found the right way in? GamersOrigin now stuck. Trying to stall out. Dixie Dix, Desperation Dragon Blade coming out. The Nano Boost is on him, but he dies immediately. NIP with the punish. 2 ticks to their name, and they are not stopping here just yet, Jameson.
Yeah, they continues for sure. Deflect. Linkser dropped down to 1 HP, and Zik will clean that up. But still, they have maintained their presence on here. Zappis picking up a triple kill.
Zappis picking up a triple kill, but now GamersOrigin actually could delay this out. They have respawns coming back in. NIP is not at full strength anymore, but they are cleaning up the people that get back onto that point. They are thrown off. They get a little bit more progress, and yet respawns are coming in, so this could still go either way. NIP is certainly in a great position here. Himsy, uncontested to the back. It is his own personal shooting gallery, and respawns for NIP have come in. They're feeling much better about the situation as GamersOrigin desperately tries to avoid the inevitable.
Yeah, I believe you mentioned it yesterday on stream. Tracer, just one of the best garbage heroes, just the garbage man, cleaning up all the trash as they come in, littering the point 1 by 1 there. So NIP, even though they only have 2 minutes and 38 seconds, will be able to complete this out. GamersOrigin not out of it yet, though. They've got 3 minutes and 58 seconds left on their second opportunity to attack.
There's certainly time here for GamersOrigin, and if you think about how their first attack went down, effectively they used 4 minutes to get there, and what do they have here? 4 minutes. However, that did include a really, really good early attack. So this is a case where if you're to play the stats on this, it actually is a bit of an advantage to NIP. But with how dominant the first GamersOrigin attack was, where it had the potential of being a quick 1.5 minute take of both points, I don't think you're resting easy here if you're NIP.
Yeah, but GamersOrigin at this point, you're a little bit pressured, right? You want to be able to complete this map out with a minute or more in time so that NIP don't get that third, I guess, opportunity for an attack. So we'll see if they can do that at this point.
So NIP holding on here, not really changing too much up. We'll be running with a standard 2-2-2. And I think one thing to really look at here for NIP, which is that sometimes I do feel like they just get very disorganized regardless of how deep people are going, whether it is Zappis freelancing a little bit too hard and getting picked, Fraggy dying early on. There's points, whether it be on defense or offense, that perhaps are not all on the same page. But they can fix that error going into extra rounds here. Could catch GamersOrigin off guard.
Now they are out the gates. Our GamersOrigin, once again, that triple DPS comp. Mirrored on the other side, but Zuppa once again on that Ana. They're holding farther back. Our NIP this time. Same holding pattern that GamersOrigin went with on their second defense. Now they are through the gates.
And NIP's bending back here. They're not really challenging dive with dive. They back up immediately, but they're getting healed up. They're going to be at full strength in the moment. So yes, they've given up position to GamersOrigin, but they haven't given up any kills. But oh, as I say that, Dixie Dix strikes into the back. Linkser is down. A huge source of damage here for NIP. And even though NIP might be able to bring this back, this is where you start getting into the war of attrition, where respawns come in faster for the offense. And the trade-outs here are not bad for GamersOrigin, and they do have some time to burn.
But they were able to pick up that kill onto Fraggy. He is that Winston, so he should be able to make it back to the point pretty quickly. Zap is picking up the kill on Hip now.
And now for NIP, this is just struggling to get back control. They still have the possibility of flipping this back, but it's certainly GamersOrigin in the driver's seat, and you can't have that happen in Tracer v Tracer. Zik moving in, punishes Zappis, and now with the tac visor being used, this should be GamersOrigin's point. However, it's worth noting that it's a minor victory for NIP that the tac visor got used here, and not on point B, where GamersOrigin is soon to go.
Yeah, it does diminish that snowball pretty heavily there. I mean, NIP definitely had an opportunity to try and defend that point, but Fraggy just went a little bit too aggressive on that Winston. They had the man advantage. He could have just waited it out, gone healed up, and then gone for the re-engage. But instead, he went out too early. Now GamersOrigin pushing in from the high ground.
Well, the good thing here for NIP is that the sound barrier just came up here, so they can counter any dive in with a barrier of their own. And Linkser, so long as he can make some space, this shouldn't be too bad. They're giving a really key position to GamersOrigin here, but again, it's defense and Hanamura. They just need to get one good kill as Fraggy takes matters into his own hands, says, actually, maybe you guys shouldn't be up here. GamersOrigin, though, seizing the time to strike. The Transcendence is out. Not necessarily needed there, and yet, 6 versus 5. They still have the barrier, and now things are getting spicy.
Zappis connects onto 2 with that pulse bomb, picking up a third. And now, this is the defense holding their ground here up against GamersOrigin. This is going to force them back. So 2 minutes and 6 seconds left for Geo to try and complete out this map.
We are trying to complete out this map. Maybe later we'll join Moose's group. Pretty cool guy, all I have to say about that. But yeah, so NIP right now in a good position. That could have been very dicey. I think GamersOrigin was a little bit hesitant on how deep they went in there. I don't really think the Transcendence was super great when they used it. It was sort of scared out of them. But it's created a good opportunity now for NIP to restabilize.
Coco has that tactical visor, but MZ is about to get D-Mech dropped down. He is going to be actually forced out of that mech, and now that's the window of opportunity for Poco to push forward.
GamersOrigin seizing the opportunity here. They do have the D-Mech out. They don't have much else. And NIP, again, they're not really trying to counter dive this too hard. They're just being spread out, using the architecture of Hanamura to their advantage. And it's actually working out here. Yes, they lose Zappis, but GamersOrigin has a way to go. That said, they are getting in. Poco on the visor, finds 2, just casually walks forward and gets the people he needs. And suddenly NIP now in a boatload of trouble when things were just tranquil a moment ago. Now they have to delay, but I'm not sure the delay's gonna come in time. It does not. GamersOrigin, one more attack away from adding a 5th point. Now both teams are going to get time here. So we go into even more rounds here in Hanamura.
Yeah, that was so close. If GamersOrigin could have just taken that 2 seconds quicker, they would have not afforded NIP another opportunity to attack.
Now let me ask you this, Jamerson. When you take a look at NIP here, NIP was certainly bending back really heavily on defense. We saw it on point A, we saw it on point B. It was perhaps more of a counter dive setup, but does that make sense with what they're running right now on their defense? You think they should be a little bit more aggressive?
It's kind of the same point that we saw on Lijiang Tower, right? When the dive came on in, we noticed a lot of the teams actually using that to counter-engage upon them, go for that 6v3 fight, which here on point A you can definitely do. You have a lot more room to try and maneuver around, but they did allow GamersOrigin to get that better high ground, and they might have to get a bit more aggressive. We'll have to see. I mean, last time they did try to get aggressive on them, but the timing was a little bit odd. When GamersOrigin went in for that left ground push there, trying to get that Mega Path control and approach from the left-hand side, they were trying to catch out the members that were straggling in the back, that just did not have the proper timing for it.
So for you, it's just more of an execution part for NIP.
Yes.
All right, well, we are getting in the extra rounds here, and you know what? It's going to be NIP on attack here once more, so we get to see their 3rd attack of the game. Neither team willing to give in here on the mean streets of Hanamura. At least they're kind of mean. They have Murlocs. What else? What more do you want?
Yeah, I just learned the other day, actually, that Murloc above the arcade makes noises if you shoot at it. But Linkster is the one that's shooting, takes out Zix immediately. And so, Ninjas in Pajamas in a pretty good spot until Ben Best comes in, taking out Keno.
Well, it's an even trade out here so far, but not quite as good for NIP. The problem is that normally you're fine taking war of attrition, but with only 30 seconds remaining, it's not quite as good from the offense. So NIP already struggling a bit to get control here. They're down to their last 17 seconds to make something happen. This will be the final attack for NIP.
Yeah, Fraggy is waiting on the outskirts there. He's towards their enemy spawn right now. Might be able to catch them off guard, but Poco just getting free fire off Himsy in the 1v1 duel, but there it is. He comes on in, and now Linkster jumps in with that Genji. Hasn't spotted anyone out quite yet.
Well, Linkster was looking for Poco, and Poco just hightailed it out of there. He wanted more protection. Now it's going to be GamersOrigin coming back in, and Zappas gets dunked on by the Helix Rocket. Poco is right there, and now GamersOrigin getting a full team wipe at NIP's expense. NIP now in the hottest of seats as they try to force a tiebreaker into Oasis. So just to set the stage here for everyone at home, all GamersOrigin has to do with 2 whole minutes just about is get 1 tick of progress on point A. And frankly, Jamerson, teams aren't all that great at having huge defenses on point A. It's very rare.
It's very rare indeed, and NIP, they were so close to securing at least a tick for themselves, but now, huge win condition for GamersOrigin. This is what we're talking about. Poco has been able to find these openings with the tactical advisors, just cleaning up time and time again. And now GamersOrigin, surprise, surprise, they're gonna go for that triple DPS composition once again.
Well, for me there, I think Poco made his own opening in a sense where he did just remove Zappas in. Zappas was diving Poco, trying to get rid of the problem, ate a Helix Rocket right to the feet, and because of Poco's excellent reaction to Zappas, he made his opportunity to come in with Attack Visor and go from there. So, NIP, it's not impossible that they hold here, but they're going to have a better defense here than we saw from any of their other defenses here in this map. It is do or die as not elimination from contenders, but elimination from the rest of the day, and getting a better seed weights in the balance.
So you're in the Billy Zane camp, right? A man makes his own destiny, ZP?
Just a bit, just a bit.
Right.
Well, NIP, they've been making a very drama-filled destiny today, so, you know, if NIP comes in here and holds and wins on Oasis, I'd be okay with that. That would just be classic NIP, at least for how they've been playing today.
So 1 minute 50 seconds on the clock for GamersOrigin. They just need 33.33% on the board there to secure this victory and move on to the semifinals here. Day number 2 of the EU qualifiers.
In GamersOrigin, they're approaching this a little bit slower. They know that they have time to give here in this case. They know that just getting 1 or 2 kills will be enough, and Fraggy already falling. It's the dive from Fraggy and Zappas that gets punished, and now it's down to the final 4 members of NIP to bring this back, but that number is quickly decreasing, Jamerson, as this is looking to be a rout for GamersOrigin. The counter initiation of NIP was not good. They give up the tick with ease, and GamersOrigin is going to move on here on Overwatch Contenders Qualifier Day number 2.
Oh, that was